One of the best ways to launch your membership is through a live event. What that really means is that you have a limited open cart period where you have delivered something to them live in time that they can't access to after this period. And at the same time as you're making your offer to your program, you're also letting them get to know you and your process better through some kind of live event. So I'm going to share with you top event strategies and essential live launch tools to help you do this as effectively as possible. There are different kinds of launch events. Now, there's the straight up simple pressure launch, which basically means that you don't have an event in it. You just have a built up pressure to the launch of a brand new program, which you start sharing and hinting about in advance with the really important topic that you're going to be teaching them on inside your programs, and which is part of your brand messaging. And you're going to get them all ramped up and excited to check out your brand new offer that you're launching during this week. That is the most simple kind of launch to have. And it really works well when you're launching a program for the first time. You can do it more smoothly without having to have an extra event in there, because that adds another kind of funnel into the works. You still need great emails, and you still need to do some really important belief shifting in order to get them excited about what you are promising them and get them really believing it's possible for them to get the results that you're going to take them through when they buy from you in your program. So that is all going to happen inside that, but you can only do that once. You can only launch a program for the first time one time. Now, you can also do pressure launches. Say you're doing a birthday sale event or Black Friday. So you just have a limited period where people can jump in at this special price. With a pressure launch, just like any launch, you need to use tools like urgency and scarcity. You still want to give them a limited time to buy something at a limited price or with limited bonuses, or the kinds of things that get people to perk up their ears, pay attention, and then consider taking action. Now, as I mentioned, pressure launches are something that you can do without an event, but it really helps to have an event in there. So I want to share a few of the common ones with you today, explain a little bit about them, and then which ones I love and use, and the tools I use to make them work effectively. The variety are, you can have pre-recorded videos that are basically called video sales letters. These are just 2 to 4 or even 5 pre-recorded videos that you can drip out day 1, day 2, day 3, and get people to watch so they can feel like they're participating in something live. That's why you drip it out, so they can see all of them at the end, but they are going to be paying attention daily to get the specific teachings that you're going to drip out daily. Now, these are semi-live, but it's still happening in a period of time where everyone gets access to everything at the same time, and it will all go away once the cart is closed. And in those, you still pitch your program like you do in all of them, but I'm not going to talk about those in much more detail today. That is kind of similar to a challenge, which you've probably been part of. I know I have, and I have also done challenges. I've basically done all of these events that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So challenges really just are live event where people can show up and participate and get a small bite size bit of training and action item daily, and they're usually around 5 days, with the majority of day 5 being pitching your program, so that they really get to learn about it and get excited about going the next level with you. Now, what's great about challenges is they create a lot of engagement over a period of time. They often have their own Facebook group so that people who are taking the challenge can jump in, participate, share their learnings, their takeaways, the action items, ask questions, and then rewatch the trainings. They are highly effective for a lot of, especially B2C brands, like people who are got more personal or like interest-based programs, memberships that people are excited to learn about these things and share all what they know about it, and also connect with other people who are excited about this topic. I think they can be really effective. I do find them a little bit more work. There's a little bit more live action, and you just have to decide whether or not they're right for you. I also tend to find these work well for potentially lower ticket offers. So if you have a lower ticket membership or just a month to month, very simple, they can come in for a month and not have to commit more than that. Those work really well for those. So it just kind of depends on what works best for you, what you like, and what is the most effective. Now, what I really like are webinars and workshops. Now, the reason why I like them is because they're all focused around one event that I can work on doing better and better at over and over again. I really like the fact that I can invest in these two types of trainings and improve them over time. I can also repurpose them. I can sell them in my shop, or at least the workshop. And then the webinar, I can also turn into an evergreen one. But it just comes down to really having something that you get good at. And you can do that with a challenge, but there's just all centered around it happening in a 2-hour window. So you don't have to show up every single day, which I find a bit draining in a challenge. And now, if you've got a big team and you know your challenges work well for you and you put a lot of effort into them and make them really big with lots of people, they again can cover all of that and it's worth the effort. I just find that doing one event in a week is easier for me, and it does track the kind of people that I'm looking to attract, who are people who have a bit less time. They're a bit time trapped in their day-to-day one-on-one work, or maybe they've got a side hustle and they've got a full-time job and they don't have time to show up on a challenge every day. And that tends to be the kind of people I end up getting inside my program or working with me privately. So that's tends to be like a good win-win, because I like the one event a week better and they also are more likely to just set aside that short period of time and show up to that. And so with those kinds of events, what you're really doing is you're drawing people in to the event itself. You're not necessarily going to let them know that you have a program that you're going to sell to them on the back end of it. You're hooking them in with a really juicy title, and that's for all of these events. You're hooking them in with a very juicy title, a promise to learn something, figure out a formula or a secret, get something done, say in a challenge, and help them really get stoked to show up, because showing up is really important. When you have an event, you have to think about the fact that tons of people will sign up for it, but not that many people will show up for it. 25%, sometimes as low as 20, or sometimes as high as 30, 35% are usually the typical show up rates, especially if you are bringing in a lot of cold traffic to the event. Like, say you've got Facebook ads running to your webinar, that's going to be a lot of strangers to you, and they may not know you well enough to know how great your training is going to be. So they haven't prioritized it, and that's normal, but they can catch the next one, right? You'll do it again in a few months or 6 months, and that's okay. So you're still bringing in good people for a good reason, just not all of them will show up. So your show up rate is really, really important. And same with the challenge. You really got to make sure that people are there, because it's only those people who actually attend and show up. They're the only ones that are actually going to consider buying from you. All the other ones who showed up, who joined and didn't show up, are not going to be paying attention to your offer. They're not going to heard the reason why you created it and why it's ideally suited to help them with their problems, the ones that they came to the webinar or workshop for. So you have to really, really do your best to try to get them to show up. So that's why a great email sequence to psych them up and stoke them up to make it on that day, and let them know that they've got a limited time to watch the replay afterwards. I wouldn't even advertise a replay. They can get it later, but at least for a webinar, you really want them to show up live. Now, a workshop, they've bought it, so they probably will watch the replay. You still want to get them to do it right away, because you still are offering them a time-limited offer, which is a really great deal to join your membership program. Okay. So really, those are a couple events that are going to help you. Now, with all of these, you've got to use these tools. You've got to have a limited time to get in, or else they're not going to show up. They're not going to watch the replay. They're not going to take any of those actions that are going to lead them to checking out your sales page. And then you really got to send those great emails to make sure that they do check out your sales page. You've got to tantalize them with all the valuable things that you talked about inside your workshop or challenge or webinar, to remind them that if they really, really want this, they need to take the next steps and start working with you inside your membership program. So your emails really are going to be important to have them daily, 2 on the last day, to get them to pick up and make a decision. This is why I use countdown timers, to make sure that they see that this time is limited. And this is why you send out all those emails every single day after the event, and 2 on the last day that you have closed your cart. So this can be very simple. All you need is a place to host your video. If you're doing a webinar, You can buy a Zoom webinar for just a month and it's a bit of an expense, but then you can cancel it. And if you're doing a workshop, you can just host it on your regular Zoom meeting, unless you've got hundreds and hundreds of people signed up. So those are some great ways to help you get started and you're live launching. You pick the event that's right for you. Try not to change it up every time. If you find one that works for you, or you feel good about it, or you know it'll be easy to improve upon, then stick that one out, because you've learned a lot in just doing it for the first time. And you never want to throw out that learning by starting afresh with something brand new, unless you hated it and you didn't like any part of it. But even that, I'm going to challenge you to try to improve it before you start something afresh, because that takes a lot of time and energy when you really need to be improving your sales, emails, improving your delivery, getting more people in it, and getting those people to show up. That's what's really going to count. Okay. So I hope this was helpful for you. I've got more to share with you on how to evergreen launch as well as live launch inside my upcoming training, the six-figure membership secret, because sales is really a part of it. I'm going to teach you how to also make sure that people are excited about what you're teaching and will even sign up for things like this in the first place. And that can be found at scalingdeep.com/live. It's free to join. It's an amazing training. I get tons of feedback on it all the time saying people love it. I really hope to see you there. Bye for now.